I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I need a
I second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, do we have any citizens here that would like to address the board at this time? Or committee, I guess? Nope. Okay. Go quick. Okay, we have our financial statements. It's been handed out. Is there going to be a presentation on this, or what is this?
No presentation, you're welcome to ask Karen questions if you have questions. I know this was kind of a last minute presentation, but it's really to give you an opportunity to look over them and take them with you. We can adjust the presentation if you'd like in the future.
Okay, well, I would like some time to, study this and formulate some questions maybe for next time.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Unless anybody else has anything. One thing, and this, I've been on credit union board, and what we always had was comparison to last year's budget. Is that something that would be hard to incorporate?
I can provide it. I don't have it right here with me.
Just, like one more column that, I don't know if it needs to be like, we kind of had 2 or 3 columns. We had like what the year-to-date or the total budget was for the previous year, plus the year-to-date of the previous year, and then the percentage difference from one year to the next. Just to kind of, you probably do that anyway, to do some trending and stuff, but especially for somebody like me that is new to Willard finances, it might be helpful.
Yeah, I can get it.
Okay.
Do you want to?
And in the meantime, I'd like to look over, one question that I did have, look at big numbers first, is you've got under the sewer grant receipts, what, is that like DNR grants that Willard receives, or?
It's a combination of grants, actually. There's a, I don't want to get it here. We have an EPA grant, and it's for 94 Force Main
Okay,
that we're doing an upgrade on now. And then the Meadows Force Main, there will be some ARPA grants applied, about 200,000 for that.
okay.
So.
Okay, that, and this grant money, do you get it like monthly amounts, or does it come in all at once and then you just divide it by 12 and,
The
are they
ARPA
different? They're probably all different.
Depends on the grant. The ARPA grant, we have the funds currently. The EPA grant is, once we spend the money, we apply to get reimbursed.
Okay,
And then they
I
get
see.
back to us.
Okay. And is this, are these grants, you have to renew them every year, or for a certain number of years? It just depends again?
That's going to be a one-time earmark on that.
At one time?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously for a specific
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, if we find another project, we'd have to apply, but the 2.8, as I recall, is an EPA earmark, isn't it? Isn't it the EPA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was just going to show you something. We put this on our website, and maybe this is kind of what you're looking for. We've got the year-to-date. It should be on your screen as well, so if you haven't grabbed that.
Okay.
But it's got the year-to-date revenue and then comparison to last year.
This grant, yeah.
Year-to-date expense, and then.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So we could just kind of give you this page. I make this one. It's not audited, and it's sometimes I'm not factoring a number or something, but this is as close as we've got to a kind of year-to-date comparison for right now.
Yeah, and I think the main thing I want to look at here, and probably a lot of people, is the implications of the rate increases.
Yep.
What kind of additional revenue is that producing? And
Year-to-date, we're looking at about 400,000 additional revenue on the collected. Also keep in mind, with the lengthy discussions, as we've kind of pointed out at the time, we had a late start on collecting it, so we're not as far ahead in the game as we would have liked to.
Right.
When did this take effect?
It took effect with April, and then there was a system snafu, so first 1,000 gallons was not supposed to be excluded. It was actually included in April, so it wasn't truly fully in effect until May.
What,
So we're almost 6 months behind on application for this year.
what's the anticipated annual increase in revenue obviously not for 2025, but 2026, what would full year additional revenue estimated?
Well, yeah, we got those numbers we can get into here as we kind of give you our draft projections, but gosh, do you remember off the top of your head what the rate analysis predicted?
What the rate analysis?
The rate analysis, you remember what the rate analysis predicted?
No, not offhand. The one that.
Yeah, one call did. I can't remember, it's been
I don't
a long time since we
Right,
talked about
yeah.
that, unfortunately.
I mean,
But yeah, we'll be coming in short of that, of course, with the late start.
Sure, yeah, okay. Just out of general curiosity, with the hot, dry weather, are you seeing monthly increases in water usage, billing, or have you noticed anything?
I don't think we've noticed anything hugely out of the norms,
Yeah.
but we can
People
get
probably
you
giving up on
that.
their yards?
We can get you, yeah, I think a lot of people have given up. Actually, some of my neighbors told me they've given up, but
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think it's anything hugely out of the norm. We can get you a usage chart if that would be information.
I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah.
Because that's your major.
Yeah, I think
water
everybody's got their
use,
pools
irrigation.
filled and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Got it all done before the heat wave hit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, yeah, I'll look at this, probably have more questions and.
If you go to the transparency side of the site, that's where this report's, I'll pull that, so that might give you some of the year-to-date.
Right.
Knowing you guys' preference for what you'd like to see, we can certainly adjust and present the information that we'd like to see.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, anything else on the financial statements? Okay, we'll move to the director's report.
Should we give them an update, Trevor?
Yeah. I'm just gonna talk about the towers a little bit more, and some water line projects that we're doing and where we're at with them. The towers, we're still working on a spec. Viking Tank is, still trying to kind of build us a whole sheet of exactly what we need to put out to bid, to everybody. If this is exactly what this tank needs from top to bottom. That way, whenever we do send it out to bid, it's apples to apples, there's no guesswork in it. So we're still working on that, but at the end of the day, it's probably not gonna get done this year, especially with how late in the year we are. So I've already talked with Carolyn about pushing that money that's budgeted this year into next year. So we're still on track to do it, but probably not gonna happen this year, definitely not getting forgot about by any means.
Did you want to talk to them about the different, defining what's gonna happen with tanks and giving them options so they could,
As far as,
the paints and.
oh, yeah, I got that on there.
I'm just questioning.
No, I got it right there, that's number 2.
Okay, I'll let you finish number 1.
So, like Mike was talking about, we had a meeting last week, with Viking Tanks and Neiman Paint, talking about painting different options. Basically, we've got options of overcoat, or we got options of total blast down, and then a total new coat. He's giving us different options, but, ultimately it's, do you want it to last 5 years, or 2 years, or 30 years, or 40 years, So we're at least gonna have different options for both tanks out here. The little silver tank, where it's kind of up in the air what's gonna happen with it, we don't really know yet, so. But the other tanks, we're looking at different options, obviously I like to blast down and redo and then not have to touch it for 40 years, other than just a washout, or whatever, but, that's kind of what we're looking at with those. When I was talking with Wes actually just about, we're setting up a meeting with the engineers, with Cochran Engineering, to go over placement for the new well and tower that we're looking at. So I don't know if you guys have kind of looked at diamond maps at all that I sent out, but I have a couple areas where I've put layers on there for potential well and tower sites. What I've told Cochrane is, in my mind, we put it somewhere out towards the meadows, probably where we can shut down that other tank and not have to run that other well on a VFD. So VFD, for people that don't know, is you hook it up to the well and then it runs the well continuously. Then whenever the pressure gets up high enough, it slows it down. So that way you got constant pressure and it's just kind of ramping up and down. The negatives of that is if your well decides to take a crap, now you're you know, oh my God, what do we do? But it's kind of a necessary evil right now. But if we can place the tank in the right spot, then, you know, hopefully we don't have to worry about that in the future. So that's kind of what I want to meet with them about. And if Wes has time and Mike has time, we can all kind of sit down and, you know, kind of see what size we want, where we want it at, you know, what do we want to get out of this? You know, what's the total, you know, deal that we want. Moving on to water lines, Langston Street is officially done. The 2-inch line is disconnected, so it's got a 6-inch C900 line on there now. So people have already told us they got significantly better pressure. The hydrant works good now, you know, because before there was a 2-inch line feeding a hydrant, you know, went into a 6-inch line. So that's been removed. No more leaks down there. We actually found another leak we worked on Saturday morning. We were transferring the service lines over to the new line, and they actually found a leak that hadn't even surfaced yet. So that's just how that galvanized line is. It finds gravel and then it just takes off, and, you know, you never find it. So that was good, you know, getting rid of the leak. Jackson Street down here, we're nearing completion. We are hoping to be done next Monday, the 25th. We're running an 8-inch PVC C900 line all the way down. We added a fire hydrant in there too, at the corner of Jackson and Perryman down there. This wasn't really a planned project at the beginning of the year, but it was something that with this new sidewalk that was coming up and everything, it was like, hey, we either do it now or, you know, we fight it later on. So it actually worked out pretty good to do it now. There's a 10-inch line already that runs across Jackson Street, so we're tying that 8-inch into that 10-inch, and then it'll also feed that, it'll loop that whole area, Perryman and Robertson and all that, it'll loop all that in, so it'll be a good tie for us back there. So like I said, yeah, next Monday, fingers crossed, we'll be done, so. You know, that's about all I got, and unless somebody's got some questions on it, or questions on anything else.
What is the status of the 94 Force Main? Is it in design or?
It's actually went out to bid now.
Oh, it's out for bid.
Yeah, it went out to bid, I believe the 5th.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it went out to bid on the 5th.
Okay.
So I want to say it's September 17th for opening bids. It's either the 7th or 17th. I can't remember why both those dates stick out in my mind. But either way, one of those days is going to be the bid opening. So that went out to bid, and then the Jackson Street sidewalk also went out to bid.
Now, will that 94 Force Main be fully funded by the EPA grant or
No, it's not.
some of other participation?
I think it's 800,000 on our part, is that right?
On
94 Force Main?
Force Main?
Yeah,
part of it will be
yeah, but our part, I think
Our
is
the EPA.
800,000.
Our part,
Yeah.
We won't truly know until the bids come in,
you have to buy it.
where everything settles. But yeah, I mean, a significant portion will be
Yeah.
city funded
Mhm.
through a COP, not necessarily directly out of the reserves, but of course some we pounded every year. But 2.8 million is gonna be the EPA grant. Hopefully, you know, we're around 800,000, but where the bids land is wherever they land.
Okay.
So fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah.
There was a settlement, right? that would
Yeah,
go
we've
toward
got that stashed,
How
yeah.
much is that?
How much did we net?
600. I do have the answer to your other question, if you'd like, about the gallons used. Last year, we averaged 17 million per month, and that was sold to customers. And we're at 17.9 last year. And this year, we're at 17, but we still got July and August, so we've got our off months. So it'll probably average about the same.
So my question, are y'all taking pictures of this? Remember what I
Tons.
said?
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
been putting them,
Tons.
this stuff
Good.
on Facebook,
Yeah.
on the website, yep.
You know, again, if people see, oh, we're spending this money, but we're seeing progress, they're gonna be,
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping, I mean, it's going on stuff that's gonna be beneficial. I even did a little manager's minute on the Jackson Street, so we're trying to get word out. I know, you know, the general scuttlebutt on Facebook is we're stealing money and misusing it and everything else under the sun, but, it's going on stuff, they can look at the books, it's, you know, there's no kickbacks and golden toilet seats, it's being spent on infrastructure. I know, we get just the regular plastic ones like everybody else.
this
Plastic.
isn't the Pentagon?
Hey now.
You upgraded to plastic?
Someone's got a phone call tonight. But we're happy to answer questions. If people really think it's being misused, they're welcome to tell us what they think it's being misused on. We'll be glad to tell them where it's going and what it's doing and satisfy questions if they have them.
We've had a lot of people stop on Jackson and.
I'm wondering about that, it's very visible.
Yeah, a bunch of, and I haven't heard of any negative, you know,
Right.
so it's only been positive. I mean, just a couple of people have been a little bit upset about us walking that one driveway, but not anything crazy by any means.
Granted, there's another 4 ways you can get in. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
pretty covered that way.
Say, more than one way to get into that
Yeah,
shopping
yeah,
center.
so,
Yep.
like I said, it's, mostly it's been good, so.
Yeah, I think it's good for people to see it, you know, and it's all very well as taking pictures, but it's so highly visible, it's kind of nice that people can drive
Yeah.
around, but wow, you know, they're doing something, so. I think that'll be a benefit. Langston's is another successful one, and we'll just keep putting those pictures out and sharing at least the interesting ones.
Right.
If we shared everything, it would start to get a bit boring, but there's definitely some interesting ones.
Now, I know I wasn't here last month because I had to be out of town, and I know they did the presentation, and I watched most of it. Trevor, I want your honest opinion.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
I don't know if you do.
Scott, you're asking for it right
Yeah.
now.
I know. Between doing a 3-year, 5-year, and a longer route, which would be best for everybody? In other words,
For,
the water towers.
as far as, like the painting goes and
Yes.
everything?
Yes.
Honestly, the best is to blast it all the way down, especially this one out here in the meadows.
Right.
It needs a full blast down and a total recoat, top to bottom, inside, outside. This one over here, this one doesn't need that. It just needs an overspray with a dry fall acrylic paint.
And that's where Trevor and I differ. I'm not a fan of acrylic. You know, I'd rather blow it back to steel and put an epoxy finish on it and walk away from the exterior for 20 years.
That's,
You know? So,
Yes.
but it does cost more.
yeah, so this one, it can be overcoated at least 2 more times. Would it be nice to blast it all the way down and redo it from the bottom without acrylic? Yeah, definitely. But, yeah, that's where me and Mike, we're gonna butt heads because
He speaks the truth, but I'm not a
he's got this
acrylic fan.
huge inflated budget, you know, and
Yeah.
yeah, money means nothing.
My financial recommendation would be on that one, to do
That
what
hurt.
we want, which would be the overspray.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's for the smaller of the two.
That's for the one
That's
with the
the high-
crown.
That's the high school one, yeah.
Yeah, the
So
high
it has an acrylic paint, the other one has an aluminum paint, the little silver
Right.
tower, that's an aluminum based paint. So that one's the one where we're kinda up in the air. You know, and I think that's gonna require a conversation between all of us combined, you know, what do? Do we leave that one up in place? Do we drop it in the future and put a bigger one up in its place? Do we just take it totally out and leave it out? I mean, you know, that one will just require a couple conversations, you know, to figure out what we do with it.
The one piece of your infrastructure that's in good shape.
It actually is in good
best-
shape.
it's the best
yeah.
water
Yeah,
tower.
it honestly is the best one, and it was put up the earliest, so it's, yeah, it's in pretty good shape, but, it just doesn't, I mean, it's only 50,000 gallons, so it's kinda outgrown its use, you know.
Now, the Meadows one, because that's the one everybody hears about.
Yeah, yeah,
If the recommendation of the board to the council is, hey, we just need to do this thing, let's take it all the way down.
Yeah.
How long are we talking of a job? Do we know?
how long of a job,
Yeah.
so that's been a topic of discussion as well, and it's, months, most likely.
And it's weather permitting too.
Yeah,
Right, yeah, because I know they're gonna have to drape it.
Plan on 4 months,
Yeah,
Okay,
and, I mean, we always do our tank thing, we give them 3 months, but there's weather clauses
yeah,
and, you know, it's all about timing, doing it the right time of the
well, I
year.
know when they did the big one downtown, not too far from where
Yeah.
I'm at, I know it was up probably longer than 4 months. I think it took them a little longer on that one.
Well, you know what happened on that? We had to drape it.
Yeah.
And
drape it.
they didn't pull the drapes up, it got windy, and the
Yeah,
tank
that's-
actually shifted.
Wow.
So they, of course, because it was empty,
Right.
you know, we had no water in it. And so the contractor learned an expensive lesson on that. That's why that one took longer.
That's what they say, I mean, the wind gets over 10 miles an hour and they can't work, because it'll break.
yeah, and like I said, the difficult part with that one is that other well will have to be on a VFD the entire time, so.
Right.
You're just really hoping nothing goes bad, you know, with your well in that time.
The other thing I would caution the board, if that is a recommendation you want to entertain, keep in mind the budgetary impact of that will have an immediate effect on rates.
Sure.
We can shuffle and we can juggle and, you know, maybe put things off a month or two here, a year or two there, but if we commit to doing it all together, we're gonna have to make sure we have the reserve amount ready, which means collecting by a rate involving the reserve ahead of time. So there is that implication just to keep in mind. The public may not mind it, but they also may.
They always do have the opportunity when you bid that to bid alternates.
Yeah,
You know,
oh,
you
yeah.
probably do that anyway.
Yeah.
Just so,
These are the things that have to get done, these are what should
Right.
get, I mean, as much as I say it, the OSHA things, they should get done, but they're not the things that's gonna get you in trouble right now with DNR. Those are what has to be done, you know, but, the addition of hatches and ladders repaired and stuff like that, yeah, it should get done, but is it something that needs to get put off, you know?
yeah. Okay.
Well, I know Kelly said one time, well, in fact, our first meeting, something about possibly going in and trying to do a bond issue or something like that. Is that something that has been discussed?
Well, it's been raised, but my feedback was very quickly, the city's tried these things in the past and generally a very bond-averse response. We can always entertain it.
Well, the reason I'm asking is, to me, I think, again, we talked about it at the first meeting, is that maybe we need to do a town hall. Get people there and just present what the need is. In other words, it's gonna be less cost if we do it now than if we wait 10 years down the road, kicking the can down the road, and then costs have doubled or possibly tripled, and that's where, you know.
The benefit of the bond is, of course, the interest rate is significantly lower, so
Right.
your carrying costs don't hurt as much. But with the way the utility is, we can't afford to carry too much debt in either regard. So if we do a bond issue, you know, the payment may still be about the same as with a shorter term COP, just over a longer term, because we're gonna try to do more with that bond. I think that, you know, that's likely better saved for more significant projects rather than catching
Well, I
up.
was just thinking of if we can do the 2 towers, get one done
Oh, yeah.
and turn around and do the next one almost around the same
And there
time.
may be more comfort for that. It's always a difficult one to say. It would need to be taken to a vote, so we need to time it up with election cycles and things like that. But yeah, I mean, if that's the board's recommendation, we can certainly go that route and see what happens. Personally, as I say, I would reserve something like that for something significant, like if we were going to do a water treatment plant, sewer treatment plant, something that has a meaningful, obvious impact, hopefully to the benefit of the folks we're going to serve with it. that one will be potentially doable with some stuff that I'll allude to here in a little bit.
Okay.
I think growth is going to be the significant part that will help pay for that stuff. And we have a real shot at some growth, but I'll allude to that here in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else on the director's report have anything? Okay, then we'll move on to new business. Great progress discussion.
On to the fun part. On to the fun part. We've been doing some math here. Let me see if I can put this on here. So we started doing the math. What we're looking at is likely recommended to the board at least a 9% rate recommendation for 2026. We did commit with the ordinance that we would do these calculations sooner, and so we can get everything kind of locked in place, hopefully by the end of the year, and so the public has a regular, reliable cycle they can anticipate these changes. The 9% does remove and shuffle some projects around a little bit to make sure we don't go into double digits. And the effect of those changes, if we stay where we're at, we've kind of got a dip here. We adjust to 9%, we build our reserves, and then we get a little bit more time. And then we kind of track. You know, this dotted line here is the auditor's recommended reserve line of 30%. So this is kind of keeping us on track. Staying with what we're at gets us into a deficit about 5 years, 4 years. So we're recommending at least 9%. There is what I'm calling kind of the Cadillac route, which is doing all the things we've talked about already, but does involve a double-digit bump for next year, which I think I'm trying to be mindful of the public on this one and seeing if we can just buy a little bit of extra time. We're working on growth options. I'm working with, the Ag Corps. The board did approve retaining a lobbyist to help us obtain funding from the state to put in the B-94 connection, which the engineers have repeatedly told us is a very important connection for us. We have development basically on the hook if we can deliver the capacity for them. According to my math, we can ease some of these rate discomforts for everybody with about a 2% growth rate. We're at about 1% with this estimate ahead. So,
But I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
sure. Sorry, my voice didn't carry so well. So we have this is based on a 1% growth rate. We believe that if we can deliver capacity to the development that basically is on pause until we can create the capacity, along with stuff that's going to go on in the meadows, we have a good shot at hitting a 2% growth rate, possibly more.
Is that growth of users of the system?
Growth, yeah, I mean, big growth of the city, but obviously, growth of the city equals more users. We have 2 active commercial development discussions going on at the moment. So that then returns us to the question of maybe now we can reconsider a commercial rate separate. So all that to say, if we could just buy a little bit of time without increasing the pain on our customers, we have an opportunity, I think, to bring more capacity on the system and more revenue to the system, sharing the cost of the system ultimately. Right. As I've said before, we do have a responsibility. It is a business first and foremost. It's just not a traditional business. We don't have dividends. We don't have shareholders. We don't have a $14 million CEO running the company. So we're just trying to make the thing break even is ultimately the goal. On top of that, as you all know, we have infrastructure, not unique to Willard. Many cities did not fully invest in infrastructure. Willard is not unique. But now we're having to play catch up on that. So we have that to consider. That's part of the cost break even analysis we have to consider. But Karen's put this together today. We considered various options. This one is the one I think I'm leaning towards as being hopefully more palatable. The analyst did say we would be looking at least 4%. We did lose about 5 months in that analysis by this additional discussion. So we really only had, by the end of the year, 7 months to build a reserve target. So that also plays a role in this, is overcoming that. But if you look at this curve here, as I say, we do buy a little bit additional time here. We don't dip under our recommended reserve amount. I think we're still making some decent progress towards getting things done. If I can deliver on the growth, hopefully next year's discussion is a bit more energetic.
So 9% in 26 and then nothing for the years.
I can't say it's nothing for the years after. If we go with this calculation, it's likely to be at least 9%.
Each year, for how long?
This goes up to 2030.
Okay.
But if we can deliver 2% growth, then that does affect it greatly in a positive direction.
But this chart only considers the 26 increase.
This is gonna go through 30, but I'm just recommending right here, we build in the reserve here, that'll get us to 27. This does assume 9% each year, that I'm focusing year by year. Right, if we can get the growth coming online, we can certainly consider that in future calculations.
You did say, you said at least 9%. Are you?
I'm sorry, so my wording is,
Oh, okay.
that's for future years, at least.
Okay, so then per year. And is that 9% water and 9% sewer?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Springfield is doing an 8% per annum increase, so we're kind of keeping up with that. Ideally, we'd see a bit more, but I think we can do it with 9% on both, just to keep it consistent. That's also maintaining one rate, a unified rate instead of separate rates. So I mean, we're keeping things in place that we put in place. We are unfortunately a little more than the at least 4% the analysts recommended and suggested what we were on. Unfortunately, we got to keep the progress going, otherwise we're going to be back in a couple of years saying another 40%, 50%, and nobody wants that. We have to keep up, or it just makes the thing worse at some point.
So in regards to this, Wes, I mean, at least in 2026, we'll have a full year. So we'll have a full baseline and we'll know exactly what we're
An
doing.
ordinance was passed that we have to have this kind of wrapped up with the budget. So, you know, this is part of that process. We give the recommendations, we let people absorb it. I will be on vacation in September, so I don't want the board to be taking this up and everything going all messy. So likely we will bring this back in formally in October. They will certainly want to know what you guys' thoughts were on it. And then obviously we have to have the public hearings. But I think with the timing being what it is, there's no reason we can't get all this lined out with a definitive, are we doing 9%, 8%, no percent, in time for Carolyn to wrap up the formal city budget. I have instructed her to start her estimates based on 9%.
Is this a rate study? that
This
we're
is an
looking at?
internal rate study. Yeah, we haven't spent a bunch of money, because last
No,
time it was
yeah.
basically ignored.
So there'll be a document that.
This will be the document.
That's it, okay.
Yeah, this will be the document.
This is the rate study used by the Missouri Rural Water
Okay.
Association.
Is it based on revenue requirements and not cost of service, right?
Revenue, expenses, right, everything.
I need a little education here, kind of going back to the lobbyist deal with the wastewater treatment plant.
So that's not, for clarity, that's not for the wastewater treatment plant.
It's what?
Not for the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, it's for,
I don't think we're at that point yet. I think if we did that now, we would be spending more than we're spending to send it to Springfield right now. I don't think we're quite there yet.
so what are they gonna help
What they're gonna
with?
do, let me pull you a map up.
Because I don't know much about it, but I hear about Republic and their wastewater plant, I'm hearing $100 million.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, obviously Republic's bigger than,
Yeah,
But-
they've had to upsize it, and that's part of it, but yeah.
is that why they had, okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite there yet.
Right.
I know Trevor's very excited to get his hands on them, but I don't think we're there,
Wes.
I don't think we're there yet.
Let's get a pump truck. before
So-
we take the plant.
I'm just gonna give you a real basic overview of where we're at. So here's B. Let's see if I can, just for the sake of putting a line on it. So here's B. Right now we're pumping down here, not in a
Okay.
straight line, but, you know,
Yeah.
for wants
Yeah.
and better needs. And then it goes from here at regional over to here. So
Mhm.
we're not only double handling, but we're absorbing capacity here with capacity from here. This very roughly takes from all over here, and then we've got a few little lift stations that also pump into it. So what we're proposing, and this is what the engineers recommend as being really in Willard's best interest, in addition to fixing the I&I, that's like number one for them.
Right.
We upgrade B, so they would add an additional pump. I think they're gonna upgrade some of the other stuff as well, so the brake, am I
The
remembering?
pump's gotta get replaced,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I mean,
Electrical services.
Yeah, add a pump, upgrade, skater and some other things, really modernize this thing. If you haven't looked at it, take a drive down this road and look at it. There's a great big retention basin in the back because it, you know, fills the thing up and then it takes about a week to dump it out. So right now it's connected with a 6-inch line over to regional. What they're proposing is we take this essentially down the MoDOT right away. And then down here into the greenways area. Down into the back of 94, so it's directly linked in. So we're then relieving pressure off of regional down here, so we can do, you know, if we want to add some houses down here, that could happen. But then we're creating somewhat unlimited capacity for a considerable amount of time on B. So now it's sending everything through a 10 to 12-inch line to 94 instead of a 6-inch restricted line to regional. We've got a development that really wants to drop in this area, which is quite a compelling, high-value development. We've tried everything to figure out a way to make that happen with the capacity we have. And we thought we came up with something the engineers just couldn't give us the comfort because of the risk. There's not enough attenuation to stop us having a blowout somewhere. So, you know, the developer's still interested though, so they're waiting. But that would be something to connect. This entire region here, in theory, can then connect through development, creating new infrastructure. This area here, during the rate study, expressed an interest in connecting to the city, so they could then connect to the city and get rid of their failing septics. And then, you know, we have some openings over here, but it's all from this one little thing. The engineers estimated originally it was about 2.9, and now with tariffs and everything else, about $3.3 million project. So what we've engaged the lobbyists for is we're trying to throw everything at the wall.
Okay.
I've had a chat with the legislator. He seems to think that it's a reasonable ask to the state. When I first joined the city, he visited with me and he said, you know, Willard never asks for anything.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys need? I said, give me some time and I'll make sure it's a good ask. And we've you know, thought about different things, but this kept coming back. You know, Willard is, the utility is one good example. We can't add people to the system to help carry the load of the system, so the people on the system have to carry the load with no hope of help.
Right.
Cavalry can't come. So this gives us an opportunity to add more people to the system. Newer infrastructure, theoretically, if it's done right, shouldn't need much TLC for a little while, which lets us have more people helping take care of the other infrastructure and build the reserves necessary to make sure that in 40 years, whoever takes over from us doesn't have the problem we're having today of figuring out how to take care of the infrastructure that was ignored for a while. But this seems to be the golden egg, if there is one to have. We can create the growth necessary and the capacity necessary to facilitate developments that allow us to start to stretch our wings a little bit. We have commercial options coming in, hopefully here. Can't really tell you anything about it because I don't know. It's a
Right.
confidential discussion. They don't
Sure.
tell me who it is. They just say, I'm an engineer and this is what we want. So we hope we've got one roughly here and one roughly here. And hopefully, no, sorry, further down, roughly here. That we hope to have more news on in the coming months. So that helps.
Right.
I think we're generating enough momentum to reasonably anticipate we will start seeing potential for 2%, possibly more growth soon. So that's why my perspective is let's, as far as this relates to the rates, let's not necessarily push too hard, even though we might want to, and if that's the board's recommendation, I'm open to that. I think the board will be open to that, but let's make sure we start with the minimum necessary we need and see if we can bring some of this other stuff to fruit. But this right here is huge, and then of course we will have, what was it? There we go. So Meadows connection will stop going in. That's after bid right now, right? So that generates more.
No, they'll open that up after the opening of 94.
Apologies. But soon, we should have a connection down here soon. That gives us more growth down in the south of town, so, I'm always ever optimistic. Do we ask for more than 9% when we know that there's a possibility to bring more customers into the system and see how that plays out? I'm comfortable with a cautionary approach on the rates this year. But that's kind of an overview, and that's
Okay.
That's where the lobbyist comes in, is if we're gonna do this ask, let's give it every chance to succeed so that I can put my hand on my heart and tell the public, we tried everything we could to make this happen, it didn't work. Or we tried everything we could, and hey, guess what, we're getting this done, and this is the news for you guys. So I just didn't want it to be one of those things that we missed one step that maybe would have made a difference in this discussion. So we're writing a white paper and getting everything ready to roll on that.
For the MoDOT right of way, are they okay with that? Have you already discussed
I
it?
believe so. I don't think we've had the official discussions. It's been more of a preliminary project idea, but I can't imagine them having a problem unless we get too close to where they anticipate future road needs to be. They have a huge easement in that area.
And a couple things, I mean, the engineers have been in contact with MoDOT about the proposed designs, and they are in contact with them on the easements. Just a couple things on the project. I mean, we're talking about our long-term plans and how we're looking to the future. This money, if it was invested from B to 94, would be usable for our sewer treatment plant also. So they would just turn the pumps around, it would pump it back to B, which would gravity feed to our future sewer treatment
Oh,
plant.
okay, yeah.
So it would be money well invested, knowing that we have a developer that could go tomorrow if we had capacity. And with
And they really are. I mean, we would have had this announced a few months back if we'd had the capacity. I mean, they are that keen to get going.
And with our current developers that we have going right now, if we see an interest rate drop like they're talking, you know, there's a good possibility that 2026 you're gonna have 2% anyway with just what our current is looking at, not including any of the other developments that are looking to drop. So,
We did a study 3 years ago, and B at that time took 40% of Willard sewage. It's not including Meadows, that was just Willard, but B has the smallest pumps of any other station. And it's got smaller pumps than the stations that pump to it. So, I mean, if that tells you anything, it's severely undersized, you know, for what it takes. On the engineers had said that the station in West was talking about regional there on AV. He said that's the size that B needs to be right now. So,
Don't look too far from that one.
yeah, you know that.
Yeah, I know that one, I passed
Yeah.
it quite a bit.
Yeah, so that was the size, like I said, 3 years ago, that B needs to be. I imagine it's probably still that, but that was just a little background that I kind of thought was like, wow, that's kind of an eye opener.
Yeah,
We're pretty excited to work on that one, and I've been working on the white paper today. I'll be happy to share it with you guys, just so you have a kind of an idea of what we're looking at in numbers, and definitely welcome to have a read. We'll get that to Honda Buff. He's gonna set up some initial contacts, likely we'll, go through DNR to begin with, just to explain, we've tried, but if we could afford a debt service, we would have debt service it already. But what we're seeking is, at least my perspective is, this is an economic development project first, that just so happens to be a sewer project. Because with it, we're looking to finally flourish and stop, putting off and having to tell people, sorry, we don't have this, or we have to brought from one area's basin to deliver to another basin. This starts creating a system that works for Will's future. But it's a significant project. I mean, you drive the scope of it just literally from the west to the east, massive project, and hopefully majority appropriation. We'll see. We'll certainly keep you in a loop on that. I don't think, we looked at the numbers for the city as far as financing, it's just the rate necessary to do it. I don't think anybody would have the stomach for right now, so if it ultimately does go to plan, we will still have growth coming online down south of town, and we can focus in that area as the Meadows line comes on. Lagoons start to get retired. We have development interest down there, so it's not all doom and gloom if we can't get it, but I like to win, and I'm hoping that will be the win that the city really needs. It's been waiting for. So it all kind of goes together. That's why I kind of wanted to allude a little bit to it. Nobody likes talking rates, but there is some positive, hopefully within 2 years, if not less. We'll start seeing some of the fruits to these labors and toils, and oh God, another $8 a month. Where's it all going? We're starting to see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And I understand the public has had some trust issues, and I understand that. But I'm hoping very soon we're going to be able to deliver something they can look at, touch, see, and understand. And we've got some videos as well. I think it's a good time to hit. Just gotta push just a little hard.
Okay.
So this 9% increase, I know you said it's gonna be for up to 2030.
Potentially. Obviously, if costs start going down, interest rates start going down, that affects things. So that's why I don't want to just say,
Well, I'm just,
2027, 2028, all 9% at least. Right now, today, it could be 12%, it could be 7%. I just want to focus on, let's get through next year, see
Right.
where we're at,
No,
see what the growth's looking like.
I don't have a problem with that, I'm just, cause
Yeah.
I heard it offhand, it was 10% and it was gonna be over 10 years, and I'm going,
Oh, no. That was one option. What we've tried to do, and Karen's, we looked at 3 different options. There are other options, of course, but the lowest paying option seemed to be right around 9%.
okay.
I was hoping for less than double digit. 9% is as close as we can get, less than double digit. And then, as I say, that looks like that.
Right.
I can show you what we put in 2% growth pattern. I can show you the immediate change. So it completely changes the curve. And then obviously we don't need 9%. We want to try and keep it right on this line. There's no sense in having a massive reserve unless we're going to spend it on something. You'll see here, if we look over to the left, we've got our expense projections here. So as we build up the reserve for the next 2 years, we can exceed what we're taking in a little bit because we're going to draw that reserve down. So that helps ease some of that discomfort if we can keep the trajectory going.
At what point will the sewer reserve fund reach the level that it's supposed to be at?
That's a very good question. There were 2 years where, even under Carl Brown's analysis, it would dip into deficit spending and have to be supported by the water fund for a time. The water fund is, I hesitate to say healthy, but it's strong. It's not in bad shape. Our affordability index is about a 404, which is, one is everybody's, your dollar for dollar. We're considered cheap for our water. People may not feel that way, but it is cheap compared to the affordability index. So we can carry, and that's fine. I think it was maybe 5 years. Do you remember off the top of your head the payback time? Because obviously there's going to be a payback time. The sewer's going to have to pay back the water fund. I think it was about 5 years before it was positive.
I think so.
So it would be somewhere after that 5 years that it would start rolling the reserve back to where it's supposed to be. And I think it was quite quick. I don't think it was decades, I think it was maybe 2-3 years after that. Don't quote me, very rough.
Sounds-
I've slept a few times, but that's what I recall, there was 2 years of deficit, and then period of payback, and then a period of recovery.
And just like anything else, compound interest, if we jump on the INI, we've identified a lot of sources in which we're gonna be going. That's just compounding that productivity, and it will just increase the sewer revenue that much quicker if we're not shipping rainwater.
And that's actually a good seg, Mike. There is something we've kind of preliminarily discussed. As we talk about INI, we've done smoke testing in the past, identified lots of people with gutters and downspouts and sump pumps hooked up to the system that are still hooked up to the system today. We base the majority, huge majority of cities' sewer bills on their water use in the winter. So you've got a significant handful of individuals that are getting their rainwater carried away from their houses through their gutters, and they're not paying for it. So one thing we will be proposing soon is, if that's what they want to do, that's fine, but our recommendation is they should pay for that. So we're going to recommend putting flow meters or something, or incentivizing, in some way, get it off the system. We haven't done all the calculations, it's very rough, but the one consistent theme that came out of the rate discussions last year was everybody should pay their way and everybody should pay their fair share. There are people that are not. So as we're getting our INI house in order, we think that it should be a holistic system. I think I showed you the scatter graphs before.
Right.
And when it rains, some of it's INI that we can seal, but some of that is gutters and sump pumps, emptying basements and keeping yards clear of water, and that's fine. But when you're talking about 400,000 gallons on a day of non-revenue generating sewer, and you're telling people that the sewer is going to go into deficit spending because we're paying bills for that stuff, that to me is hard to stomach as a customer.
Right.
So I think as a city we have a responsibility to look into some options to try to consider how we might mitigate some of that. So we'll likely have some recommendations for you in the coming weeks. Hopefully by the next one, you think, we'll have some numbers?
And we have some follow-up on flow meters and stuff
Okay.
like that.
So maybe by the next meeting, we'll have some proposals, get your input before we take those to the Board of Alders and get their thoughts. But I think that it's something we should tackle soon. The rain months are coming. And then, last year, we saw about $180,000 bill for the quarter. That they included in the rain months. This year, it's $250,000. If we have a year like that again, we're talking about $300,000 with an 8% increase. So it's affecting the utility. It's something we should tackle,
Oh, it's significant, yeah.
I think. So anyway, that's an aside, just maybe future tease or a future discussion.
Okay, good. So let's talk about rates. Does that lead into the aid program for rates next?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I apologize, I'm getting into that hungry stage of the day. I forget who came up with this idea, but it was a fair one. You have Spire and other gas companies, utility companies, they'll say you can round up and donate and help people. So the suggestion was, why couldn't we do something like that? And I don't see why not, but of course, like I alluded to earlier, there's the trust factor, are you really going to use this on that? So we're kind of exploring the idea of how would this look if we did something like this. We could set up an escrow account, separate fund. Do we do means testing? Do we just do because someone asked? How does that look? So we're kind of drafting a proposal for how that might look for you guys to consider. I don't know, have you got very far with
No.
system side?
No, I haven't.
But it was just another tease, an idea, see if you think that would fly, maybe something for the future. Maybe the trust isn't there with the public yet to do something like that, but that would be the general proposal, a separate fund, escrow account, so the city's not making any money off it. If it sits there for a while, maybe someone has a compelling need, we can take care of their bill in whole or in part. especially during the summer months when the bills are really getting
Mhm.
steamy.
I think the key with that is to have a third party that administers, like, the way City Utilities does it is, you can donate to, it's called Project Share on your bill, and they collect the money, but then it goes to OCAC.
Okay.
And that's how it's done.
Could
And
you
that,
show me something about? do you have
yeah,
something
you'd
you-
probably be best just to go to their website,
Just
look
do
at
that?
Project Share.
Could
And the
you
reason for that is,
note that one?
it removes any potential for perceived or real abuse of, picking and choosing who gets it, who doesn't get it, then you're completely out of the picture.
Yeah. Does that work differently because they're sort of semi-private as a utility?
No, I think
or-
it's just a matter of accounting and,
Okay.
and we're not, and it's not semi-private anyway, City Utilities is municipal, just like,
Oh,
it's
okay.
a different category, but yeah,
Gotcha.
municipal, it removes any potential for
Okay.
any abuse.
Could you,
Does the funds that they receive go directly to the Springfield customers?
Well, the customers, okay, so when I worked in customer service, if a customer was having issues with their bill, we would say, call OCAC. We don't say, okay, we're gonna have you present an application to City Utilities and we will decide if you get qualified. City Utilities doesn't do that. So it's a third party that decides if they qualify for aid, and OCAC administers, and then OCAC, I can't remember exactly how the money gets, they don't just cut them a check. It's, but they disperse the funds, yeah, so.
Are the funds given from Springfield directly held for Springfield customers?
Yeah, they would have to be
Yeah.
a CU customer, yeah,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they have to be-
Yeah,
City Utilities customer to get
Because
aid
if
from it.
people put in to Willard, they'd probably want to know that it's going to
yeah,
come.
so it
Yeah.
maybe OCAC isn't the one to do it, but that's how it's done in Springfield. Although OCAC is a regional, so
Yeah, I think-
it would be at least worth talking to them how it works.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not quite right for us, do you think it would work if we put in that it comes to you guys for a recommendation?
No,
No.
because we're still connected, I mean, loosely we're connected with the
Okay.
city. It could still be perceived. You
Yeah.
know, you want to remove any perception that Wes Young decides who gets their bill written off and who doesn't.
Okay, that's
You
fair.
don't want
I
that.
don't want that on my shoulders.
No, not really. I get enough shouts. I don't need
She's
this.
got something.
Unfortunately, OCAC was just defunded, it's administered through LIHEAP, and that was just
So,
defunded.
okay.
Yeah. Well, it's still, I don't think they're gone, so, yeah, but they probably do
Something to
have some
explore.
funding issues.
We can
Okay.
explore it.
And there might be other
There may
organizations.
be others, there may be a nonprofit. that
I
we can
don't
reach
know
out to.
because I'm not a
We-
pastor,
Mhm.
but if Willard has a ministerial alliance,
Yeah,
then a ministerial
Yeah.
alliance could
yeah.
Well,
be
and
the
that's what
governing body over
yeah,
that.
and we always suggest that to customers, also call a church, there are actually several organizations you can call, but OCAC was directly connected with.
See,
That's how, CU has a means of a third party handling that money.
Yeah, that's great feedback.
Yeah,
We've got a list of different organizations
Yeah,
that we refer people to now.
yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I think what you said,
So we
if
might
we
look at
do,
some of
if it's
those.
done as an escrow, but then all funds are handled through.
Yeah, they
like
just
she's
tell
saying,
us, this one qualifies,
This one
wipe it
qualifies.
out. Yeah.
Well,
I
and
love it.
unfortunately, there is the flip side, there are people who will try to take advantage and
Mhm.
aren't honest.
There's always
So if you
those.
have a third party, that's what they do.
Yeah,
They
my,
vet
my
all of it.
background
Then-
is, in Arkansas, social services, benefits.
Yeah,
There's a dichotomy, you have a line, where that line sits is difficult, do you wanna move the line knowing that some people who probably don't deserve it get it? Or do you wanna move the line this way to where nobody who doesn't deserve it gets it, but now you're missing people who do?
Yeah.
So it's a difficult line, and I agree with you, if somebody else is making that decision
Yeah, it needs
and
to
doing
be
it
completely
based out of knowledge, and all we're getting is a phone call saying, hey, Wes Young qualifies for $50 off his bill or the whole bill, and we just apply the funds as directed, I think that is a good approach. Yeah. I
it is a good
appreciate
idea. I really do like the idea of having a line on the bill that you can donate $1 to
Yeah.
whatever fund and.
I mean, I like the roundup idea, I always like even numbers coming out of the bank, it's just easy to clock, so I mean, for me, it would be easy to just stay around that, but, you know, I know certain seasons people like to do that. It was a great suggestion, we thought we'd just throw it out there and test the water, and then it sounds like it's worth exploring further. So
I mean, there are people who have genuine needs.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
absolutely.
an emergency comes up and now all of a sudden I've got to choose between my water bill or this,
Yeah.
you know, this emergency. So yeah, I think aid is always good.
Yeah,
And it might, what some people may say, well, City Hall's not as bad as we actually thought they were.
oh, don't go that far.
Get it in writing.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, no, we're trying, it was, as I say, it was a great suggestion, but we ran it by you, and, so we'll dig down further on that, and kind of come with a better proposal for you.
Good.
I have a question before we leave the rate discussion
Yeah.
totally. And you may not have the answer yet, but how will you explain the justification for raising again when we had a rate increase in 2024 of 10%, and then again this year of 56 and 59%, and then, so like you're talking January, another 9%.
Unfortunately, you know, the response is simple, and it's not what anybody wants to hear, but just like the price of cereal at Walmart goes up, and we go, oh, they've added another dollar into it, but you buy it anyway. Water is the most precious resource. We would all die within 3 days without it. If you can't invest a little bit more money in it, when prices rise, we've got to pay the staff, we've got to buy the equipment, we've got to keep up. If we don't, we wind up in a situation like other towns get into. My last community had the same problem. They hadn't invested in their water for a long time. Pipes were blowing everywhere. You know, the unfortunate answer is it just costs to get this stuff
Yeah.
done. We
And
can do what we did before and put it off, and then go, hey guys, 10%, 40%, 20%.
And
we
I
can just
agree.
keep up now. We've
It's
pinched.
just, if you, we talked about the rate increase got delayed, and so we'll only have maybe 6 months of revenue in this year. I think the flip side of that, a customer could say, well, you've only had the rate increases in place for 6 months, why do you need already more revenue? I'm just anticipating those kinds of
Yeah.
questions, that's what I would be asking.
Our task is to make sure we meet our reserve revenue target. So it's not a case of, hey, we didn't have enough money to operate this year. Now it's a case of, we've got all this stuff we've got to fix. We've got to have the money in the bank to fix it.
Right.
So we've got to build the reserve to make sure, and to stay on target, 9%. And even then, we might get there and go, now we've got $2 million to do the well, and we go, well, crap, now it's $2.5 million, tariffs and everything else. It's just an unfortunate case of playing catch-up all the time.
Yeah.
I've come from a city, as I say, you know, we were told privatization was gonna be the best thing since sliced bread, and, you know, we've got all these private companies coming in, and they're gonna dump every penny into it, it's gonna be a great system, and you know what? My entire country had the same system it had before privatization, it just cost more. And I think most of Willard will agree that while they don't like it, and while they still have some mistrust about where it's going, I think they'd rather stay in public hands than go to Liberty or somebody else who promises the earth, and then 3 years later, it's 200% rate increase.
To me, and because of the nature of this board, that we're meant to be a liaison between customers and the
Yes,
city,
yeah.
I don't sense that there's a mistrust that money is being mishandled.
Yeah.
I think there is some mistrust that it's being spent and things are being done.
Yeah.
And so it is good to hear that, you know, there's progress now taking place toward the water towers and this, you know, the force main, things are happening. I think you're probably going to encounter that a lot of people are gonna still think it's a little too soon. It was just a few
Sure.
months ago, 56 and
We did
59% is a pretty significant increase for anyone, so.
We did commit that with the ordinance that was passed last time, this would be the cycle we're
Right.
going for
I know.
predictability. So once we're done with this one, it's a whole 12 months before we would discuss the next one.
Yeah, and I get it. I'm just sitting here as
Absolutely understand.
understanding how customers
Absolutely
will be
understand.
perceiving it and
Yeah,
what you should
absolutely
expect.
understand.
But the other thing we gotta look at, the can was kicked down the road too long.
It was, but that's not the customer's
Well,
fault.
I know
And
it's
that's
not
how-
the customer.
That's
What
how
I'm-
it will be.
What I'm saying is, people got a benefit for however long between rate increases, because they were paying a lot less than it was costing the city. And I'm not trying to justify this big increase, and now we gotta come in and ask for 9% more. What I'm saying is, I think a lot of people would like to be back in the 1950s and pay what they paid for gasoline. Not gonna be there. I would love to pay what I paid when Cheryl and I got married. It's not gonna be there.
I think
But
the
it's-
problem with the rate increases being delayed so long, and it was 2021 was the one prior to the one in 2024, and I think that was 10%, if I remember correctly. And really the issue was their system, the reliability of the system was really poor for a long time. So we're paying, okay, maybe we're paying low rates, but we have an unreliable system, leaks and problems. And now those are being resolved, and I really do appreciate the presentations we've heard. I think you guys are really approaching things professionally and making good progress. But you still have a lot of work to undo.
Oh, sure.
The people, you know, the history of things not being done well. So it's just, it's tough. So I don't envy your position, but I'm just letting you know that's how,
It's unenviable.
that's what it's like living in Willard
I
for a
understand.
long time.
I
There's a
understand.
history of kind of,
The way I look at it
things being
was,
poorly
I was
done, not by
highly breaking the
everybody.
ship.
Not by you, not by
We're
you.
working on breaking the ship.
Yeah,
There's a cost to it. It's the best analogy I can give. You know, you find that lovely house you've always looked for, you buy the house, you move into the house, and now all of a sudden it starts falling apart because they didn't do the roof, they didn't do the plumbing, they didn't fix the floors, you've got rot in the walls. You have to fix it. You don't get to say, well, you know, I've already just done the roof. If the floor's falling out, you have to do the floor too. We're kind of in that boat. It's not that dire, but, you know, it no longer matters whose fault it was.
well, and to keep demonstrating that you are fixing it.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing more communication and things, but like what you just explained about the force main, I had read the minutes and I've watched the board meetings, I didn't understand what they were talking about, what the lobbyist was going to try to achieve. As, you know, that's worth, I don't know how you communicate that, but it's worth.
I don't either.
You know.
I think what I would do is, like a little bit topic of a manager's minute, once I have something to actually share, you know, when I'm maybe in Jefferson City talking to somebody, I'll pop on there and do that. But it's just, as I say, throwing everything at the wall. If we can create the growth, would I love to come in here one day and tell you, actually, guess what, guys, I don't think we need to touch the rates this year. It's possible, it's entirely possible, but not without creating growth.
That's on my job, by the way.
That's your job to create the growth?
Yep, so I'm hoping to get enough growth where we can come back in next year and say, hey, we don't have to do this.
It's badly needed, especially commercial growth, we really.
Well, I got two on the hook, and I think once we hit,
Yeah,
if we can land them,
yeah.
people will notice, and other people want to get in. It becomes the urgency principle. What's going on in the world that they want to be there? So then.
Well, and what you guys need to understand as the new guys is, a lot of Willard will not believe you.
And I get that. Show me.
And good reason,
You're the show me
because
state.
I've heard it many, many, many times. We're gonna have new growth, and I believe you,
Yeah.
but that's what you're gonna face.
No,
And
but
so,
I respect
yeah.
that. We're gonna prove it, or we're gonna tell you why it didn't happen.
Good.
And Angie, challenge accepted. You know, I mean, we can either move forward or we can stay the way Willard's been the last 50 years, you know? And the citizens are gonna be the same way, you know? They can stay the way they've been the last 50 years and.
Most of us haven't been here 50.
I was talking about Trevor.
I
Feel
can
like
tell
it.
you from my perspective, I've had great conversations with developers and a couple of commercial interests. One wasn't a great fit for them, but they said they would keep us in mind. It wasn't at least a complete no thank you. Mike gets development interest about residential all the time. People do want to be a part of Willard. I think the recent announcement that high school got #2 again, people want to come here. We have so many strengths. We've just got to give them the ability to do it. And my God, I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen.
Good.
And if I can't, I'll happily tell you why it didn't happen. And I don't care. You know, maybe I'll somebody give me a suggestion of, did you think about this? And they're, well, heck, yeah, let me try that, you know. I love it, I love all the feedback, I love all the input, and I truly, hand on my heart believe that Willard's got a great future, really not very far away. It's really close.
And I hope people understand that, you know, I'm a Willard resident myself, and when we talk about rates and everything like that, that directly affects us also, you know,
It does.
so,
Trevor's over there not going, yeah, I think Trevor lives out of town on
I'm in
that.
Springfield. I'm pushing for 70% this year.
for now, until I pass that ordinance, you have to live in Willard.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, we're trying to push things forward, and we appreciate you guys, you know, stepping up, because this is not an easy position to slide into. Just all the details and all the projects that we're gonna be going over and everything like that. There's a lot of stuff we're catching up on, so.
And Angie, I understand what you're saying. It's hard when people have lost trust in what their city's supposed to be doing. That happened in Mountain Home for a lot of years. Nobody trusted the alderman, they didn't trust the mayor or anything else. Eventually, when we didn't have the city administrator, but the mayor and the board members started getting out and talking about it, then people started saying, and they started seeing it happening, oh, okay, yeah, maybe we are gonna see something happen here. So I understand that, but I also understand cost side. I have a son who manages a golf course, and he told me one time, he said, Dad, since 2020, I've watched chemicals go up at a rate of 30% every year, because they have to use chemicals to treat, and that's part of the rate increase, is that chemicals went up, but we were not going, they were just kind of like, well, you know, maybe we can handle it this year. And that's, again, a lot of times I think if people really know why rates go up, then they'll go, oh, wait a minute, okay, I can see that because I pay more for gas now, like you said. Oh, go to Walmart, $1 more for, oh, that's stupid. Well, I gotta eat it, so I'll pay, you know, I gotta do what I have to do.
Well, I think as we finesse the financials to be something that you guys think will be useful,
Yeah.
and transparent, I think that will probably help as well, you know, okay, where's the money going on? Well, you can see the reserve is growing, and you can see we spent this on chemicals. I mean, Carolyn does a good job about segregating everything out with an infinite level of detail, so I think that will likely be useful, and then we can just make that part of the minutes and add that to our transparency page as well, so. We're working on it, and we welcome the feedback, and again, if anybody has concerns, we'll just email away. If we don't know, we'll find out, but most likely we can give them an answer. We're open.
Well, this kind of perfectly leads into the unfinished business that I wanted to talk about. As the advisory committee remembers our last meeting, we recommended to the Board of Aldermen that they sign on with the Stockton additional water source. And I attended the Board of Aldermen meeting, and they gave me the opportunity to address them. And if you're aware or not, they voted to not join the group. And, you know, before the meeting, and I worked with Roddy for 30 years, known him, he was my boss for a while. So Roddy's a great guy. He truly cares about everybody being able to have clean drinking water. I don't know if you know much about his background, but he's traveled all over the world on engineering missions, bringing clean water to third world countries. So he won't talk about that, but he genuinely cares. And he gets nothing out of this if Willard signs on or not, or Ozark, or Nix, or anybody. But you know, I totally get it, because myself, I didn't have the knowledge of the finances. And, you know, $26,000 a year, and you look at the overall budget, and you think, yeah, we can do that. It's a great idea long-term, but you're talking 30 years, and something we might not ever use. And with the rate increase coming up, public hears, well, you're spending $26,000 a year for something that we might not ever need. That's a hard sell. You know, it is.
The other hanging point of that, and you may have been alluding to this, but we had to come to the full amount.
Right,
So that would have directly impacted
Yeah.
our rate progress. That would have
Sure.
been significant, because we would have had to recover that very quickly to keep on target.
right, right. And, you know, the groundwater issue is a real thing. And as I mentioned, the board of alderman meeting, you know, we're not California, thankfully, we're not Colorado, we're not Nevada. We talk about water problems, save time. Now, we do have localized groundwater issues in dry weather like this, and large wells, but you might not know this, but Missouri has been monitoring groundwater since the 1950s. There's all kinds of information online if you want to learn about it. And as I mentioned to the board of aldermen, we're lucky. We're not as impacted as western states, thankfully. There is concern, you know, groundwater can get contaminated with a lot of things, but my professional opinion, town the size of Willard, we're gonna drill a new well, that's gonna buy a lot of time. It's inexpensive compared to getting a raw water source, building a treatment plant, running a treatment plant, staffing a treatment plant, and, you know, you talk about rate increases, that would be needed for that. And, you know, at the meeting, I didn't see a lot of the aldermen jumping on like they wanted to do this, and, you know, I got it. I can totally see that, but they did want me to relay to the advisory committee that they're not just like, oh, they said this, we don't care about it. That's not their intent, and I genuinely know that. They've got a lot of other things to look at where we're focused on water and wastewater. So anyway, that's my take on it. I think the direction the water and wastewater is going now, we're heading down the right path. I think public education is going to be key, as we talked about before, especially with some big projects coming up, a tank, a well. Those are things that I think helps people see, okay, well, this extra money I'm paying, they're doing something with it at least. And as an advisory committee, I think that's one of our primary responsibilities is to, you know, support what's going on and relay that to the public. So, you know, I didn't lose any sleep over not signing on, just because, you know, if we were a much bigger community, I might have a different thought, and until we get things in place that we can really grow, you know, we're not in a big need for additional water supply in the near term, that I can tell.
I just thought about something with him talking, and I'm glad you said it. Now, you said DNR strongly recommends. We have a 20%
Oh, fire suppression.
fire suppression,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. I know you were talking about dropping this 50,000 gallon. Why could we not build a new well and keep that tower still running for that 20%?
So that's where I was saying that could definitely be a topic of discussion is, because that well that's right there below it, we're not gonna get rid of that well for sure. I mean, you don't get rid of wells, but, yeah, maybe we keep that tank up, you know, I mean, it doesn't really cost as much in maintenance, you know, I mean, it's a pretty good tank in pretty good shape, but we need to look at, instead of putting that tank, the new one somewhere where we can feed the meadows and it's not such a big deal to take that other tank out. So, yeah, I mean, maybe, you know, I think that's a discussion we all have. Maybe we do end up keeping that tank up where it's at, or maybe we take it down and put a bigger one up in the future, or, you know, maybe we keep it up until we're ready to, you know, put a big one up there, you know, something like that.
Well, it just, when he was talking, and because that was one of the things, you know, when they were talking about using Stockton.
Yeah.
Was I was thinking, okay, that would more than cover what we would need, or at least make DNR happy that we have
Happier,
that,
yeah.
you know. And so then while he was talking, I thought, well, wait a minute, we were just talking about a 50,000 gallon tank.
Yeah.
You know, why couldn't that be kept online just for that if we put a new well in?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could, but the hope is you put a big enough tank in that it more than,
Right,
you know,
right,
I mean,
that I
if you're
understand.
putting one up, you know, you don't put up 100,000 gallon tank, you know, you put up a 500,000 or 1 million, you know, I mean, you know, because it it gets cheaper the bigger the tank you
Right.
get, so, you know, you wanna make it worth your while, you wanna make sure that that's gonna supply at least 20 years worth of growth, you know, if not, you know, more like 30 or 40, you know, so that's what you kinda, that's why I kinda like this, you know, discussions, these open discussions we have, where we can all kinda, you know, hey, what do we wanna see, what do we wanna, you know, how do we want our future to look, you know, so I think it's kinda cool.
Yeah, I watched the board meeting, I wasn't able to attend, and I understood that the board, they weren't trying to, you know, just dump on our opinions. And honestly, when we make a statement like that, you know, that we support X, Y, Z, it's not that we're saying you have to do this, that's not our job, we're not board members. So I understood that too. It did bother me that Roddy himself was kind of dismissed, when he came to the city and spoke like 4 or 5 times, took a lot of time. And I think there was just a lot, not understanding who he was and what his position was. He was definitely not a salesman. So that's unfortunate, but I get it, you know. We're just here to offer our opinion, but it's, the Board of Aldermen has to make the decisions, something like that.
Yeah, and I think, as Cam said, you know, if it had been 26,000 a year, and that was a perspective we all kind of had, as a
Can you
drop in the
explain, I'm sorry to interrupt, can
Yes,
you
of course.
explain what the lawyer,
So,
what was the issue?
because we're incurring a debt in essence, and that debt, even if we'd have withdrawn, would have still been a valid debt. We would have had to encumber the full amount, the full cost, which would have dropped our reserve considerably. We have, I think, at that time, the combined reserve was about 535,000 above the 30%. So we would have basically taken all of that and tied it up on something that we kind of can use it. You know? So that was where I think the discomfort really came in. If it had been just 26,000 a year, I think we were all on the same page. Like, it's an insurance policy. It's a, you know, compared to our overall budget, why wouldn't we do this? You know? But then it became, okay, you know, we're gonna have to recover this fairly quickly to stay on target with all the infrastructure that we've got to take care of. So, you know, in addition to the 9%, we would have certainly been in double digits, because we have to recover it quickly enough, really, to focus on the Meadows tank. I mean, the Meadows tank, I would say, is probably a priority, right? It's not in great shape, and the longer it takes us to get to it, it's just an exponential decline of a tank. You know, as the rust gets in, as the rot sets in, it starts to speed it up. So I mean, we can't just keep kicking that can down the road forever. So I think all that combined, you know, we have better things and bigger things to spend the money on. Will it be a great long-term decision for the world? That remains to be seen. But for right now, I think the infrastructure is important, and I think that was what the board kind of left.
Yeah.
I think there was really some hand-wringing. I think they understand you make recommendations, but the board was just really concerned. They didn't want their first act of considering one of you guys' recommendations to be, nah. You know, they were very concerned about that, and I think genuinely concerned that, you know, your first act as a water board recommendation was to be declined. I think in the grand scheme of things, knowing how much we would have to encumber it, it was likely the right decision for today. The other option would have been to, as the attorney explained, take it to a vote and go to the public. And then if they vote to approve the debt, then as I understood it, we could have done the 26,000 a year as a budget, but then we're outside of the time frame that Roddy really needed. He really needed to move. So, you know, other people want it, they need to get the contract signed. We were the only people holding them up, so it was the right thing for them as well, for us to step out of the way, I think. Is that answer the question?
Yeah.
Wes, I had a question. Are we gonna still be in the coalition, or are we going to?
We're still members, as I understand it. Roddy said we're still members, we're still welcome to participate, discuss, and be in there and direct the direction of the Southwest Missouri Water Coalition, but we just won't have the storage, the water storage piece.
Okay.
So we won't have any financial commitment there. I think we still have an annual membership commitment.
Yeah.
But yeah, the water storage piece is all we've really voted decline on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would encourage you to stay involved in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Things change.
still wanna be part of
Yeah.
that, we still wanna be, good neighbors and all that, but it was just that piece that,
Right.
as you said, Roddy gains nothing either way.
Mhm.
That half, 0.05 or 0.5 of storage that we had, somebody will snap that up as pocket change to a larger municipality, so, like that's already gone. They're okay, everybody's out of that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, is there any other unfinished business that we need to discuss?
The only thing I wanna know, roof gonna be put on the pump.
The roof is going to be put on, we are on the schedule, I've got a check in hand, just waiting for it to get done, so.
Okay, 'cause I drove by it today, looked over, and I thought,
Looks a little tacky, doesn't it?
I charked over that thing.
Yeah.
The only thing, and I know I talked about when we were at the pump house, is one of the things that I would recommend is that we ask that a fan be put in that to start drawing off a lot of the humidity that's in that building. Poor Kim over here put his hand on the pipe.
Oh, yeah, they get a little
Blue
moist.
paint, yeah.
No, blue
No,
paint,
like
they
blue
had just
paint,
painted.
Yeah,
they just
that was
painted.
painted weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
weeks ago, he put his hand down, and he comes back and it's blue, and
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably do that.
Yeah.
there needs to be a fan installed in that.
Yeah,
probably
maybe just a
that back wall.
dehumidifier.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
something.
I don't think the humidifier would ever shut up, I think just an extractor fan.
Yeah.
Probably the cheapest, most
Yeah.
effective route.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know about that?
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Nobody told me about that one.
Yeah.
I knew I'd been in there and seen how moist the pipes get, but
Yeah.
I figured it's just
Well,
condensation,
yeah.
I'm glad I didn't touch it.
Well, the other thing about it is all that electrical equipment in there,
And that's what I said when I visited after the storm.
you know.
Heck, I even volunteered to go there and roof it for them, but we got insurance for that, so I figured, all right, guys, I won't stretch
You
out.
lived in Arkansas for a while.
Yeah, you just get up there and you put some shingles on and life is good. I think JL was excited, he's excited over there.
Yeah,
So I got there and helped, he goes, you will?
Oh, yeah, he'll jump right in on anything, he doesn't care. You know.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, second.
Okay, second. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming.